Hey guys, it's ShlÃ, and today I am going to be showing you the much requested how to make fast rave techno like ShlÃ. As usual, you get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets, all that stuff in this video in the description. It's available right at the top on my Bandcamp for just $5, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, here we go. So we're at 144 BPM. The first sound that we have here is this lead, which sounds like this. So you can see here the notes for this one, it's really simple. It's just playing this kind of like dark sounding sort of evil scale thing where you can see like, it goes from G sharp up to C, so you get that thing, and then it has this little note here, this B. So then like, I'm pretty sure this G sharp to C would actually be like a major third. But then you're kind of like breaking up that major sounding scale by playing the B there. And yeah, really simple, and then just plays D sharp up there. So it's all about just kind of choosing a few notes. Like in this case, you can see it's literally just 4 notes, and it's mostly just these 3 notes, the G sharp, the C, and the B. The D sharp really only hits once. But yeah, just having like this kind of catchy pattern with as little notes as possible, I think is really the key for these kinds of leads. The sound on this one, it's made using analog. You can see what we've got going on here is we have 2 saw waves. I've got them detuned a little bit. You can see I have the pitch envelope a little bit on that first one as well. The first one's also an octave down, and we have some white noise, and then those are going into a low pass filter, which is set like this. It's got a bit of an envelope on it, so here's without the filter, and then with it. You can hear, like, it pretty much sounds the same. The only difference is that this just gives a little bit more of a pluck now. So yeah, then we got the amp envelope set like this. After that, we have a bit of vibrato. You can see I've got the rate all the way up, so it's just making it a bit more like buzzy sounding, kind of more like old school ravey. And then we have this unison. So this is really important for the sound. Here's without it. You can hear it just doesn't have that full like power to it that you get with the unison. So yeah, the unison's really important for these kind of like hectic, old school, super saw, Hoover type of sounds. Definitely like just turning it up pretty high, more than you usually would for like a melody synth, works really well here. After that, we have this quarter note echo, just giving it a little bit more of like kind of some rhythm and some space in the background. We also have a bit of reverb giving it some space. Then we have a saturator and a drum bus. So here's without either of these. You can hear it's kind of thin sounding without them. And then we bring in the saturator, makes it a bit fatter, and then the drum bus. You can hear just gives it like that last little bit of fatness. Like it's almost the same in the highs, but in the mid-range and the lows, and really just like the fullness of the sound, this drum bus is making a huge difference. So yeah, definitely recommend stacking those if you want like a really big, fat sound like this. After that, we have a high-pass filter just to cut out some low end. Here's without this. So you can hear why we do this. There definitely is quite a bit of low end usually with these types of sounds, but if you cut it like that, it gets it all out of the way. Then we have this auto pan to make it kind of sound like a sidechain to the kick. And then finally, we just have this EQ8, which is just doing a bit of a high-end boost. Here's without it. And then with it, this sound really needs to have that, like, sharp, bright high-end to it. If I turn that off, you can hear it gets a little bit more lost in the mix. So this is just boosting that a little. And yeah, that's it for the lead. After that, we have the kick, which sounds like this. So as you can hear, we have a rumble kick, but we have something a little bit extra going on. You can hear there's that like distorted kind of thing on top of the rumble. So this is what kind of separates this kick from like a regular rumble kick. Because if you just had a regular rumble kick, what's happening here is this kick is, as you can hear, the kick and the bass line. And so just doing a regular rumble like this, it's like there's something kind of missing in the mid-range. So when you add in this extra little, that thing, it's adding a lot of nice frequencies in the mid-range and kind of just filling out the bass line a little bit. So yeah, so the way that I made this one is we have 2 layers for the kick. I'll play it without the rumble. Here's the first layer. You can hear we just have this for the high end. I'll play the original kick. So I've just taken this EQ3 and cut it so that it's just the high end. And then we have this kick, which you can hear. Here's the original kick for that one. And then this one, you can see I've taken just the lows and the mids. So this is a really good way to make like a new kick and kind of get the best of both, because this kick, as you can hear, has a really good low end to it. It's really fat and full. But then this other kick here has a nice transient to it. And if you listen to the first kick, this one doesn't quite have that same like punchy transient to it. So when you put them together, you get a really, really hard hitting kick. So I definitely recommend doing this. It's a really easy way to layer a kick, just taking EQ3 and splitting it like that, because it's like, you know, it's just super straightforward, and you're going to get a more creative and more unique sound this way. After the kick, I'll show you, after the instrument rack, we have the rumble. So here's what that sounds like. So what's going on here is we have 3 layers. We have the dry layer. That's just the punch of the kick. We have the main rumble that's providing like the bass line. And then we have this one on top adding that kind of like crunchy mid-range and high end. So the bass line rumble looks like this. You can see it's a very simple kind of sound. It's just a bit of delay. Then we put that into an amp, which you can hear obviously makes it sound a bit crazy, but also brings out that low end a lot, and then you just low pass it. And you get that. And with this type of kick, you got to make sure that you low pass it a little bit higher, like around 300 hertz like I've done. Typically, like when I'm making like the style of techno you guys hear like in my releases, for example, maybe like that more kind of like 128 BPM, 130 BPM style main room techno, you do want to kind of like filter it down there. But with this style, because it's a lot more minimal and you have like a lot less elements going on, you have a little bit more room to let this come through, and it makes it sound a bit more aggressive as well. So I low passed it there. Then we just have it sidechained to the dry kick, and then I have an EQ8 just cutting at 100 hertz to make a little bit of room for the punch in the kick. And then on the second layer, we've got this. So this one's made in a really similar way. You can see it's just a delay going into a saturator this time, and then into an amp. So we're basically creating like this sound. And then I just have it high pass so that we just really get that high end and a bit of mid-range as well. And then that one's sidechain, and I've got a bit of EQ on that. And then when you blend that in with the others, you get a really full sound. So yeah, and then on everything, I just have a little bit of drum bus and a bit of EQ. Here's without these. And then with them. So you can hear how these are really essential for making these fit together. The drum bus makes it really hit very hard. And I've also got that boom on there, which is really helping the low end, because in this style, you need this kind of kick to have that like really powerful low end. Like when I was putting this up against reference tracks and I wasn't using the boom, it wasn't quite holding up. But when you bring that in and then you get it in tune, you know, it's very simple. And you can hear the difference when I turn that off. And then the EQ8 is just a little bit of low end boost, a little bit of a low mid-range cut, just kind of bringing out even more of that low end and then cutting on some mud. And yeah, that is it for the kick. And then the next thing we have here is the percussion, which altogether sounds like this. So you can hear pretty simple stuff. We have like a standard open hi-hat on the upbeats. Nice shaker, just doing straight 16th notes underneath that. And then we also have this ride. You can see just simple techno ride. Got the high pass, and we've got it just doing that. You can see the detail there with the velocities. And then the last percussion is this clap, which is like this nice hard-hitting clap. You know, this I don't do this a lot in techno tracks, but I think it sounds really cool when you have that like we just got that on the 2 and 4. You know, with this one, it's mostly just about the sound you choose. You want to make sure you get something like this where it's just really punchy, really hard hitting, really powerful, and not a whole lot of like extra stuff. You know, it's just the punchy clap, and then that's all you really need. And then on the group of those, I have a little bit of stuff you can see. First, we have a little bit of reverb. This is just giving it some atmosphere. There's without it, and then with it. Kind of gives everything a little bit of space, you know, makes it fit together a little bit more. Then we have the saturator. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear, you know, just kind of fattening everything up. And then this also helps to glue everything together a little bit. Like when you put everything into some saturation like this, that's what it does. It tends to just sort of like, kind of even out the volumes a little bit and make them fit together a little bit more. And the last thing we have on here is just a high pass filter to cut out the low end at the end of the chain and make sure that this is super clean and not getting in the way of the kick. And yeah, so that is it for the percussion, and that is also going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. All of that stuff from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.